Hi everyone, today we're going to go over our discovery call process here at Accelerate AI. So in general, when we look at a discovery call, it can take the shape of many different types of objectives. Some discovery calls for some firms is just a short meeting with some quick questions to understand the business and then answer some general vague questions and push it along to a bigger workshop meeting or consulting call. Depending on the business, you might also be given a certain form to fill out, etc., that will then sort of forward you on to a sales process. But today we're going to go over how we process our discovery calls at Accelerate AI. The first big distinction to make is whether you have a process or a project in mind that you would like to look into an AI solution for, or if you are still exploring. So if you are still exploring, then the process will be a bit more simplified and the call will be shorter in nature. The objective of this call is going to be to get you thinking about where you could implement AI and to get to know your business through its different processes. And these processes can include administrative processes, customer-facing and sales processes, as well as document generation. So it can either be processes where you create documentation and or where for it to be given to the customer or where you take different pieces of information to log documentation internally. So based on this and different sort of business necessities and needs that can be related to the business's annual objectives and mission and goals, as well as an 80-20 approach to what processes are best for the business to automate first based on cost and redundancy, but also based on a risk-managed approach of not trying to tackle the most complex cases first, simply so the business can become more comfortable using AI automation solutions within their business. Then this would be an approach that we would take for a preliminary discovery call with a client that is just simply exploring the capabilities of AI without having any given project in mind. So it's more so to spur the imagination of the client to think of how they would be using AI, where we can also make suggestions. Now, for the second type of discovery call, assuming the client has a process or project in mind, which means they have a process that is currently being run by humans, or it can be a mix of human and automation, but they would like to fully turn this process into an intelligent AI tool mixed with automation. And so there's really three key factors we have to look at for the discovery call. First, we have to understand how the process works. And the three factors associated to that are going to be the actions involved in the process, the cognitive reasoning that is being used by any live operators or employees within that process to make decisions to go from one action to another, and the systems and integrations currently involved. This can be CRMs, job management systems, other automation platforms, so on and so forth. Lastly, it's important that we also understand what have you explored already as an alternative to see if actually an agentive AI solution is best for your process and project in mind. Having said this, what we will move on to do for those three factors to understand your process better will be an individual breakdown of each action step in the process from beginning to end. The questions that could be asked at each step will be, what is the actual action performed, whether it's performed manually or autonomously? What are the integrated platforms involved with this action at a given step? And also, is there any personalization requirement within that action? For example, if the first action of a voice call is to greet the customer, but we would also like to recognize existing customers, then we will have to integrate with a CRM to first recognize whether that caller is an existing customer, and then we will have to personalize the message. And so these details are important to really capture your process as is and to try and recreate the best business value for an agentive solutions to deliver you a seamless experience for the customer or for the employee or wherever the use case may be. So beyond integration and personalization, we need to understand if there's any existing data warehousing tools and where they come into play at each step. as well as generative actions. So within a given step of your business process that we're looking to implement AI agentive solution for, we need to understand, are there any points in these steps where the AI is going to generate something, whether it be a document or a specific personalized description or script that it needs to give to the customer that is not generic but is based off of other factors that either the customer has provided to the agent through voice or text, and or whether it's combined with information that we can gather through our own private databases on the customer and the scope of work that, or the product that they've been looking into. All these things matter for generative actions. And then lastly, the last question we ask for each step of the process is, what is the logical processing and reasoning required to decide how to proceed with the action? So at each step in a live process that is currently using manual operators, we need to understand what thought processes and logics are they using to decide whether they need to go down path A or B in decision making to best process the employee's request or the customer. And so at the end of all this, in our experience, we definitely found that the process is typically much more robust and complex than we originally could appreciate, just simply once we go down the details. Rest assured, everything is possible. It's just a matter of proper scoping and planning. At the end of the day, if the process is quite robust and the discovery call runs over, then there may be a need to book a second discovery call to fully flesh out the process in detail. Now, the way we move forward after the discovery call phase is we will document everything that was captured in the discovery call on a requirements framework. The requirements framework will have all the actions, the integrations, the platform systems being currently used that relate to that process, and what are the actual functions that need to occur. After that, we will send you the requirements framework for you to confirm if it is correct. And from there, we will then ask for any sample of conversations or calls. We would, to be able to truly appreciate what is the practical event looking like, whether it's a conversation through text or a call, and what is the ideal call looking like. So we would like at least 20 to 30 calls, of which maybe a majority, around 70 to 80%, are the ideal best case scenario calls, and 20% are the worst case scenario calls. And so with that, we can understand what is everything in an ideal situation, how should we try and cater the objective of this solution. But at the same time, we're trying to understand what could go wrong and what do we need to manage as a risk potential. And lastly, once this is all analyzed and confirmed, then we will proceed to scope a solution that is robust and holistic enough for your process, and also potentially include alternative functionality that might not be the ideal case, but also might be good enough for you and make the scope financially flexible. So I hope you enjoyed this video.